Good afternoon, everyone in Australia. And if anyone's joining us from other places, hello and welcome. My name is Michelle Maloney, and I'm the National Convener of the Australian Earth Laws Alliance. And I'm really delighted to have Dido Dunlop joining us today. First, I'd like to acknowledge country. I'd like to acknowledge that I live, work, and play on the beautiful lands of the Kabi Kabi people. And I'd like to acknowledge the First Nations peoples of all around our continent and around the world, and certainly here in Australia acknowledge that land was never ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. And I personally, as a non-Indigenous person, a descendant of folks brought here by colonisation, am very grateful for the care and love that First Nations peoples have continued to show across our continent. So perhaps as a lovely Zoom tradition, you might like to write in the chat where you are today and whose country you're on. It'd be lovely to hear from you. Before we go to introduce Dido, I just wanted to share screen and show you, remind people about our Kinship series, because this is the series that's bringing this wonderful workshop to you today. So firstly, the Australian Earth Laws Alliance, if you're familiar with our work, our website's earthlaws.org.au, and we're passionate about systems change towards earth-centred governance. We focus on education and culture change, supporting communities, individuals, businesses, pretty much anyone who wants to think differently and work on earth-centred systems shifts. And we work in solidarity and partnership with a whole range of wonderful networks around the world and around Australia. And to that note, I'd like to acknowledge our partners in the Kinship series, the UTS, Transdisciplinary School, and I think I see a couple of our wonderful colleagues on the call today, so thank you. Ayla is interested in earth-centred everything, but in particular we're passionate about shifting our governance systems, which sort of includes law and economics and politics and ethics, but also very much thinking about our worldview, thinking about our own culture, our place in the world. As Mary Graham, Indigenous elder, often says, Aboriginal people could say that they are located, therefore they are, meaning their place-based cultural worldview is pretty profound and pretty important. Here within Ayla, we're fascinated to explore with people their own worldview, and that's why we designed the Kinship series together with Future Dreaming and UTS-TD School. So this is actually our last webinar, not just for the Kinship series this year, but all of our Ayla webinars today. But we're going to be kicking off again next year, and we're really looking forward to further beautiful conversations. And just a reminder that we've had a number of discussions in this series so far, and if you go to that website, our website, you'll see today's event, Deep Imagination Work to Heal Our Inner and Outer Climate. Fascinating. Can't wait to kick that off with Dido in just a couple of minutes. But also want to remind people we've had an amazing conversation about exploring multi-species justice in September with Christine Winter and Danielle Salameyer, and a really rich conversation also in July, where the Faith Ecology Network, Anne Lanyon and myself hosted a number of wonderful speakers from very different faith traditions. And we also had deep listening to nature with amazing acoustic ecologist Andrew Skiok and Benny Wilson and Monty Nixon sharing thoughts and insights from their work from an Indigenous worldview, and so on and so forth. Oh, and of course, we kicked it off earlier this year with the amazing John Seed and Sky Mandazay talking about deep ecology. So next year, we're also going to have a whole range of wonderful speakers, and we really invite you to stay connected. And also, it's a call out for anyone who has people they would love to have us join this series, or if you yourself would like to offer up some material or sharing. It's a very diverse group of folks that we bring onto the Kinship series. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. And now the format for today, Dido is going to be able to give us a 15 or 20-minute talk, and then she's going to run you through some exercises as promised on our Humanitics booking page. So Dido, how are you today? Thank you so much for joining us. Hello.
Okay. Well, it's an honor to be here. I think you're doing wonderful work, and I'm honored to join your crew in this way. And
Thank you so much.
I'm coming to you from Aotearoa, Te Awa Kairangi, the Lower Hutt. And this is where the two tribes have connections. The Te Ateawa Taranaki ki te upoko o te Ika, and Ngāti Toa Rangatira, two tribes. inhabited this land before I got here. But I've been here 5 generations, so yeah.
That's lovely. Well, I'm going to hand over to you, Dido. So please take it
Yeah.
away with your presentation and call out if you need us for any part of your exercises or discussion. Thanks so much.
Yes. Well, I'll introduce myself a bit more just in a little way. I think you're all interested in system change and different worldviews. And that's what I've been working on ever since I was a small child. So I started out because I was a girl. I didn't like patriarchy because, of course, I was born into patriarchal, colonizing, capitalist, all that. And I didn't like being a girl in that. So very early on, I was looking for ways to, oh, can I get this straight? Looking for ways to live differently in myself and around me. And I realized very soon, boys also don't get a good deal, and nature doesn't get a good deal. And one thing about my childhood, I've lived in a lot of different countries, mostly Asia and Africa a bit. And so I met people from all kinds of cultures and backgrounds, living in different ways. So to me, it's not a fixed system. So many people in our modern world say, oh, this is the way things are. It's human nature. We can't change it. But we can, I know, because as a child, I saw people living in any way you could possibly imagine. So we can change it as we wish. There's 100 possibilities, 1,000 possibilities for how to do this. So when I was about 19, I met the Buddhist teaching. And immediately, this was the middle of the nuclear standoff. I was in London at that time. It was awful, nuclear, horrible accidents every day. And Buddhism, immediately I saw Buddhism has a worldview and a way of doing things which could change that. Instantly. We don't normally think of Buddhism as something that can change culture in that way, but it has, I mean, there's a patriarchal front, all the gurus and patriarchy in the front, but the teaching itself is not like that. The teaching itself is quite a different thing. And Buddha teaches the laws of nature, Dharma. And that's what we need. We need to go back to the laws of nature. So that's what I've been teaching for all my life, but I've been doing it in a very unusual way because I reckon I've been trying to do it in a way that people from my capitalist culture background can make use of it in this modern world, and we can use it in these culture changing ways. So Buddhism provides the worldview, and it provides the inner methods and practice to be able to transform our insides to that worldview as well. That's what makes it to me so amazingly useful, that because we can't just change view by saying, oh, I've got the idea. We have to change it right down into our boots, as far as I'm concerned. And I was with Tibetan teachers and Western Tibetan teachers who use this what I call deep imagination methods, using all kinds of visualization and things like that to help us along. So I just want to show you, I like this image for that. See this conch here and its beautiful inner world. Can you see that? With a lovely pink color inside. And this to me shows how much the inner and the outer world walk together. You've got the creature who made this conch. It made the inside soft and beautiful and pink. I don't know if it could see its own color because it was in there, but anyway. And that's the inner world that it made. And at the same time, it made this outer world not separate at all. Inner and outer are so together. And to me, that's a beautiful natural image for how I see it. That's our first image. So I'm going to show you this PowerPoint in pictures, almost all pictures. One reason for that is because it explains so well, in my view, but also because this is deep imagination, and deep imagination doesn't speak English or French or whatever. It speaks in images and feelings and body sensations and those sort of languages like a dream. So I thought if I did the whole thing with pictures, you could stay in that dream state. It's like a dream, this sort of meditation. So go into a lovely dream state and look at my pictures and stay there. Listen to me out of the corner of your ear. Yeah. Yeah. So this picture is about, you can see the conch again and the conch is in Mother Nature's heart, because a lot of people in our, sorry, I keep calling it Western. Is that all right? Western, we Westerners who are not Indigenous, we Westerners tend to think that our mind and our emotions are not part of nature. Our body may be, we may admit that, but not our mind. But of course it is. It is part of nature. So I've drawn this conch in the middle of Mother Nature's heart, just to remind us we also in our mind and heart operate on the laws of nature, not only our digestive system. Yeah. And this is what we've done to Mother Nature now. We have made her sick. Many people in the West think that she's angry with us now and she wants to scrape us off the planet, and that's why she's behaving badly. Well, if you look at that face, that's not an angry face, it's a distressed face. She is distressed. And when you're sick, you can't often always behave as you would like. So I see her as in that state. She would love to look after us nicely, but we have trashed her and she's sick. So of course, all you people and me would like to make her better so that she's like this and she can look after us, and there's the bird's nest on her head with happy baby birds. This is what we would like. So all of us in the Western world, or these people anyway, are in a meeting to try and decide to do this. See, we're all enthusiastic. We've all got really good hearts and ready to go to build a new world. Hey, who's this in our hearts? A bunch of cowboys in our hearts. Now, has anyone experienced meetings like this? When I was living in eco-villages and doing transition towns and things, we had lots of meetings like this. Everyone really wanted to do this, but we had this cowboy, this old paradigm hero figure in our hearts. This is, you may not be old like me and think of it as cowboys. You may think of it as detective heroes, the solitary sole operator, self-sufficient, operates alone, probably a bad communicator. Yeah. Or a spaceman. And now we get sheroes, women who follow the same model. It's a patriarchal model of a hero. And it's not, you can't, how are these cowboys going to do consensus? I remember in eco-village meetings, they wanted to do consensus, but actually, I'd rather do it my way, actually. I don't want to be a clone, things like that. So I'll just show you how I started as a cowboy. I'm in the red hat, me and my little friend, on our trusty steeds, our horses, being cowboys in New York. So it's quite infiltrated in my system, probably in a lot of us. So I would guess that a lot of us are in this situation where we are half in our new paradigm with all our wonderful natural creatures and natural ways, and yet we've still got money, cars, cowboy hat. Do you see the cowboy hat there? And the plastic bottle, and yeah, we're doing well with our bicycle. This is my way of representing deep mind in the body. So this is not a picture. It's not on her body. It's inside her body. These things, they're feelings, way of representing feelings. Does that make sense? I hope so. Yeah. So I think that's certainly how I am at the moment. Now, one of my favorite climate scientists, and I can't read what he says because the thing is over it. This Zoom thing is over it. I used to think that the climate problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that within 30 years of good science, we could address these problems. But I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And he says to deal with those, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that. This is what I and my friends have been trying to do, a spiritual and cultural transformation. So I think this man is wonderful. When you do have as the roots of your tree selfishness, greed, and apathy, as he says, this is the kind of result you get. All right, there's your cowboy. The hierarchy. See the beautiful hierarchy, and guess who's on top of it? The rich billion zillionaire and the warplanes exploiting the earth. This is the paradigm that he's talking about. We need to get away from, obviously. And this is the result of this paradigm. So what I've done here is the outer result on one side and the inner result, this poor young man, because of course, as I said, patriarchy doesn't do well for men either. This poor young man is suffering. His inner climate is matching the outer climate, yeah? So this is what we need to address. We need to shift our inner climate because they're both, you can go either way. You can start with your inner climate and then go out, or out and then in, or both at once. They reflect each other so neatly. It's very difficult to have a wonderful climate inside and not outside. You understand? Okay. So here's our change of paradigm. Here's a different tree with different roots. And this is a huge paradigm shift. If you plant with different roots, those are the values that we would like, then you get a different kind of tree, but it's an entirely different tree. And I'll just give another example for the, just before we go on, according to paradigm shift, this is a picture my father took when I visited this longhouse in Sarawak when I was 9. This was one of the peoples who showed me there are other ways to live. Yeah, so I just wanted to put that in to remind us because I'm saying, oh, paradigm shift. I mean it. Something quite different is possible. Okay. And here's 2 other examples of how different a system is. If you have the truck is one complete system and operates as a unit, the milk jug is another system. It operates properly for what it's meant to do. But if you have half of those, you can't function. You need to have a system that works on the same sort of values, the values work together, yeah? So here's our tree again. Let's have a better look at the tree. This is the tree of life, I call it, because in our future, I see one reason I feel so positive about this whole thing. Makes me happy and positive to think about this, because we have no option but to put life in the center of our culture for the future. There is no choice. It's not just a nice option we could have. It's a climate that has made it so that if we don't put life at the center, we could lose it. Yeah, quite possibly. So we have to build a much nicer, better world. I like that. So that world has to include looking after nature because life depends on Mother Nature. We can't separate the two. So here's the great Mother Nature in the middle of the tree with the conch and with birds' nests and fruit and all sorts of things. That the system, you can see I've tried to portray the system instead of that hierarchy in the other tree. The branches fan out. This is a non-hierarchical egalitarian system where all creatures, as in nature, every creature is as precious as every other creature. And all the other things that go with a non-hierarchical system, which includes nature. I'll just say, because I know you're really interested in systems, different systems of living. One book which has really inspired me is, I don't know if you know it, Heidegger and Abendroth wrote a book about indigenous matriarchal cultures. And she went around the world looking at, I don't think she personally went to all of them, but she collected information about cultures. Not every indigenous culture is a matriarchy, but many call themselves matriarchies. And she looked at the structure of those, and they all share, whether they're in Africa or India or America or the Pacific, or in different places, they seem to share a similar structure. And so in this book, she goes into that structure and really, so I think that we're probably going to end up with something like that. I haven't got time to go into it, but you can have a look at her website. What I think is we might end up there, but we have to get there in our own way, because we have our own patriarchal capitalist baggage that we have to transform into that. Again, we can't just, when you read her book, oh, it's lovely, let's do that, but it's still in the realm of ideas to me. How do we bring our cowboys along so that the cowboys become heroes, quite different heroes, cool heroes who can cooperate, work together, and create something good? Whereas instead of shooting people, which we don't need. So what I've done, one of the things I've done is I thought about what we most, as Westerners, what we most would need to work on to transform our insides, to get that cowboy into a different kind of hero. And I won't go into all the details here, but this is what I've done is I've put 7 things in the body of Mother Nature, because of course we're working with the principles of nature. In our capitalist society, the reason everything's gone so wrong is we're out of touch with nature. I've painted these symbols for these recipe bits in the body of Mother Nature to show this is what we have to do. We're working with taking back our natural principles and laws of nature within us in this work. But I won't go through them, but we are doing them as we go along today. Yeah. And here is Green Tara. And she, how am I going for time? Green Tara is the Buddhist goddess of the forest, Green Tara of the forest. And she is the queen of deep imagination and the queen of this paradigm. I told you, Buddhism teaches the laws of nature. So here she is in her forest environment teaching the laws of nature. And her methods, her practices, the sort of practices that her and other Tibetan Buddhist practices, they are the ones that use deep imagination to get us there. So deep imagination, well, I've said already, imagery like a dream, imagery, story, memories, all those things that go around in our deep mind that we're often not conscious of, especially the sort of habitual ones like cowboy heroes. That's what she's working with. And Buddhism also has heaps of help for communities. Like here in the middle of this, you've got one person's insides. Also, we need to be able to build community. We cannot change the future on our own. None of us can do it on our own. We're going to need to get together, work together to do it. So I've got this middle bit here with the community, everybody holding hands. And on the outside, you can see animals. The nature community is around the outside. So that's all the levels we're working on, not just inside here. Yeah. So this community hero, time to meditate. Come out of the sharing to do this and go in and out a few times in between. Is that all right? Yeah. So I thought we'd do 2 meditations, or deep, they're traditionally called meditations, but that makes you think of watching your breath and stuff. So this is different. So 2 deep imagination exercises. And to help us to develop the skills of community. So what we're doing is we're now transforming the hero within each of us, who needs to have these strengths, because it's going to be one hell of a task. It's not an easy thing we're talking about here. So the cultural and spiritual transformation that I think, I'll start with my very favorite meditation, which is the 4 loves. It's a classic classic Buddhist meditation, and under different names. I don't know if you know this name, that's my name for it. And I just want to say, has anyone noticed Mr. Elon Musk, how he says that empathy is weak? He obviously doesn't think heroes should do empathy. Well, this meditation, I hope, will help you to feel that you can be a hero of empathy and a hero of love, that love is the greatest power in the universe and the most sustaining thing. So do this meditation in that spirit, that this is that you will become a hero of empathy. You are turning yourself into a hero of empathy. All right, so close your eyes if you like, or keep them open, doesn't matter, but go down into deep mind, which is the full length of the body. Just go down to your toes and open up the whole of your inside of your body and feel it become spacious. The outside is also spacious around you, the same sort of space inside and out. The inner weather is like external weather of winds and breezes and movement. You might feel things like that in the body, movements and sensations. So the first of the four loves is loving kindness. And this is kindness and friendliness to every creature that lives. So just range around in nature. I don't know what's in your locality, birds and koalas and snakes and trees. And just feel in your heart loving kindness and friendliness for all these creatures. They are all amazing beings that have been built by Mother Nature somehow or other, just miracles of being. So just take an interest in all of them, regardless of whether you like them or not, or anything like that. Just take an interest in the astonishing miracle that each one of them is. And then the same astonishing miracle is you, your body, the human bodies of everyone around you. Just off the planet, amazing. And just feel that kind of all-embracing kindness. And the second one is compassion for pain. So when these creatures, human or animal, are in pain, or plant, let yourself feel compassion for their pain. Don't lose sight of the love. At the moment, we can get so overwhelmed with climate change and storms and mass fires and death and stuff. It can be really overwhelming. So when you do this, just keep in touch with your love. That will keep you in a warm, loving state, not carried off by the utter disaster that's going on. So keep yourself connected to the love that goes with creatures in pain and your own pain, because it's inclined to get forgotten, especially with these awful things happening. Have compassion for you as a person who feels the pain of the storms and fires. and your own personal losses, and not only the big cosmic horrible climate things. Fill that whole space of your whole body down to your toes. Fill that as much as you can. Explore. This is just an exploring. You don't have to do it perfectly first time. We're exploring. We're building a skill here. We're learning how to love in this deep way, from your toes to the top of your head, all through your body space. And you're using your deep imagination to do this. And the next love is less familiar, maybe. Love for everybody who's doing well, the animals that are flourishing, the trees growing beautifully, the climate activists out there yelling at the loggers, whatever. These people send them and feel great love for them. They're doing well. They're doing beautiful work. We don't realize how much that love is lacking when it's such a habit in our culture to say, there's wrong with this, wrong with that, and forget all to remember to remind people of the good things they've done and the good things about them. And the good things about the earth, the things that are going well. So fill your body with that joy, sympathetic joy it's called. Joy that goodness is happening. Let images, memories cross your mind. It doesn't have to be present. It could be a joy about something that happened long ago. Anything. And joy at your own great achievements of whatever you've been doing to grow wiser and make the world a better place and enjoy your own life. Don't forget you're a self again. Fill your body with that joy. How does it feel? Grounding might be different for everyone, how it feels to be filled with love like this. The last one is called equanimity. And that is being able to stay grounded in this love, regardless whatever happens. Sometimes what happens is good, sometimes it's terrible, sometimes it's a shock, sometimes we just to be able to stay grounded in that deep sense of that at the bottom of your being, in your deep mind, is love. Just relax into that. And this love may not be I love, but just maybe peace, openness, a feeling of stability, comfort, spaciousness, whatever it is for you now. Just check, what is it for you in your deep mind right now? Quiet. And there is actually one more, and that is space, sometimes called the Great Mother. In Buddhism, sometimes emptiness, they also call it the Great Mother. Drop all images, drop all memories. Just let the great space of the wilderness open out, inside you and outside you, as if you were at the beach or in the desert. The vast stillness and silence within all that appears. And rest in that. It's an even deeper sort of love, innate in all, every moment of our being and life. All right. That is the first. Hero transformation. How is your hero now? Are you starting to become more of a hero of empathy and love, feeling the power of love driving you and supporting you? And feel how that heroic state could be a foundation for action as well. Can you maintain that when you're working with people, building something new together? The second meditation or deep imagination exercise I thought would be good is about how good we are. I mean, you probably already feel like that from the love work we've just done. But one of the hazards of capitalism is that a lot of us don't feel like good beings, and we don't think everybody else is very good. And a lot of people are behaving extremely badly across the world at the moment. So what Buddha says is, yes, we behave badly when we have the idea that we are a separate, lonely, solitary, permanent self. And then we have the idea that we have to defend that, and we get into greed. Oh, I have to have lots of money or else I won't survive, and I have to drop bombs on all my neighbors because otherwise I have to build up my sense of self. And he says this is partly because it doesn't exist. We are not separate, permanent entities. We are here, doesn't make us go away, but we are not what we think we are. So what he says is, once you've got past that and you realize we're something different and we start exploring what that might be, then we can feel that we are actually basically good, like the animals and birds. I'm afraid I've lost I was going to show you a beautiful bird. I'll have to show you later. Like the birds who are pure in the sense of there's no creature on this earth who naturally wants to just, I want to harm or take revenge. They might eat other creatures, but the idea that we are good, we'll go there and feel what it's like. We are good because we are children of nature, and nature is good. At base, she is fostering life, creates life, and looks after it. That's what I'm calling good. And not intending harm. So go back into your deep mind, down to your toes. Feel the breezes wafting all over your deep space, mind space. And just start with creatures again around you, the birds and the snakes and whoever are your friends. And just feel the goodness, what Buddhism calls pure, clear, that sort of word. Pure, I don't mean as in virgins and stuff, but pure, the clarity of the mind, no stains on the mind. Animals are just arising in nature as who they are. And so is each of us arising like that. Just as who we naturally, like our bodies made of all the water and air are good by nature. in the sense I'm talking about. They don't necessarily go bring you buns when you but just basically by nature good. And more than that, if you are in nature, you probably feel its beauty, magic, majesty, the grandeur, mystery and magic of nature, as well as just being okay and not bad. Nature is a marvel. And again, so is each of us, a grand, magnificent marvel. And our mind, too. Remember the conch in the heart of Great Mother. Our mind has the same character of vastness and majesty. Look at all the things that pass through it: courage, bravery, determination, creativity, inventiveness, all sorts of qualities our mind has, and strengths and abilities. We can invent solar cookers and endless things like that. We can also invent culture change and new ways of being and new ways of relating. We can invent what we think is good. That's the nature of our mind, like the nature of nature, who invents every blooming green and purple spotted beetle. So just before we finish this exercise, imagine if we built our new world, feeling that about ourselves and each other, that rather than thinking, oh my God, she's a blooming annoying so-and-so, think, actually, she's a mystery and a marvel of nature. I'm building this world with mystery and marvel of nature people. And they may misbehave and they may not get it and they may argue and all sorts of things, but they still basically are this extraordinary mystery. If we built our world on that, what would it be like? Just relax into that for a few moments, because having visions is a great feature of our mind, that we can imagine all this. We can imagine what it could be like, and then we can do it. Imagine the feeling. You don't need to think what kind of solar panels would we build. Just imagine what it would feel like in your deep mind, because that's our foundation, the feeling. All right. I'll just show you a picture or two. Here's some heroes who have become more in their mold of being part of nature, who are dancing together. I know I painted them separately, but you can see they're dancing together, which is when we, after these meditations, maybe you feel more like you could cooperate with people. Yeah. And there's the birds. Takahe, New Zealand takahe. Is there any evil in these beautiful birds? No. So now we are a hero who has those beautiful roots within our body, a hero, or this is a he or a she or a they or whoever you like. And so the tree of life can blossom from this hero's body through his heart. And we can build, through those trees, we can build a future together that will support life. Thank you for listening. There's my email and my website if you want to go and have a look. Okay, so I'll stop the share now. We might have some questions.
Thank you so much, Dido. First, before we break that mood, perhaps people could reflect a little. If you would like to share a few comments on either of those exercises or how you're feeling, please do write them in the chat. Dido and I will be reading them for sure. And I could share a couple and read them out now. We wanted to offer this as a simple 1 hour lunch break exercise. We don't have the sufficient time that we would normally have if we were all together sharing food, having small conversations and coming back to the larger group. But in a spirit of sharing, if you would like to write anything, we might just have a minute or two of quietness to reflect. And you don't have to, of course. And then I'll read a couple out. Beautiful comments coming in.
I can see a couple of them. It's
Yeah,
great.
I'll read them out. The short ones, I'll be able to read them out. Wonderful, wonderful. Give you one more minute and then I'll start reading them, but you're very welcome to keep writing while the chat's open. Right, I'll start reading some. They're lovely. So Sharon says, peaceful warrior. Sarah, feeling expansive, grounded and held. I love Dido's laughter. I really want to echo that. Dido, you have the most charming laughter. It's beautiful. Puts a smile on your face. Karina says, love this. It was so relaxing to feel the spirit of life within and to feel it emanating through the group. FitGB001 says, affirmed female heroine. Liz says, thank you, I needed that. Tomorrow I head down to the rising tide to blockade the coal port, and I love moving from this loving place. Rachel, feeling connected to the wider web of life and hopeful. And Philip says, Dido's gentle laughter could heal the world. What a beautiful piece of
I
feedback.
hope it does. I would be very happy if I could heal the world that way.
Wouldn't that be good? Grounding, life affirming, calming. Ria says, I found deep healing rest. Jane said, egad, thank you, Dido. Your work parallels what I'm doing in academic form. I'd much prefer to draw than to write. Thank you for taking us into a beautiful, calm, and connected world. There's a number of other comments. I can't read them all. Thank you so much. We will read them, but I won't read them all out. Feeling expansive, peaceful, connected, loving. So many paths up the hills. Thank you, because climate change is a spiritual crisis. And if I could share one thing, I feel as the facilitator of this beautiful series, the thing, I love these exercises and I don't do them enough. And I also feel very spacious and calm. But I think the question asking us to ponder how good we are was almost like a shock, a wonderful shock. It was quite moving because I think, and I'm sure many others feel this, as we look towards a future that is so changing and so much potential and ongoing present damage to Mother Nature and to each other, we feel, I think there is a sense of global, for those aware and those who care, there is a feeling of not so much punishment, but that we are bad. Look at what we have done.
Exactly.
Yeah. Please do comment on that idea. Why do you think in the Buddhism tradition it invites us to remember that we're good? I almost feel like I have to shout back and go, no, we're not. Like I resist that feeling of being good. Did you want to talk about your experience in that space?
Well, I think that's what keeps me going. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question exactly, but this is what keeps me going. When I see these blimmin' Trumps and stuff going on, I just remember this is all delusion. It's not who, if you really got down to who they are at bottom, they have a good heart just like the rest of us. And they're just stuck in delusion. And I mean, it's terribly sad, but it gives me hope all the time. And it makes me able to deal with my difficult neighbors as well. When they shout at me, there was one neighbor who lost his temper with me, and I just said, I know you have a good heart. And it got him into his good heart. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
It's there. We do, a little baby isn't full of all that bullshit. And what the Buddha is saying is every creature can awaken. Every creature, every snail has the capacity to awaken. Basically, our mind is like, there's a beautiful quote. Can I quote you something?
Yeah, please.
The clouds that wander in the sky have no roots, no home, nor do the distinctive thoughts that wander in the mind. In space, shapes and colors form, yet neither by black nor white, is space tinged. He says that's the nature of our mind. The nature of our mind is this open vastness, which I took to you too, which I often call Great Mother, and I think a lot of cultures do. The open vastness, that is the natural state of our mind. That's what he says. And every creature has it, not just humans. So
I love that. That's beautiful.
if you have that as a bottom line, when I remember that as a bottom line, then everything is sort of, the peace is at the base of everything. And the horror that's happening is from delusion. It's not from the natural. People say, oh, this is human nature. We're so awful. No, it's not human nature. We don't have to have this. But we have to build a world which supports people not to go there. And our present world definitely does not support us not to go there.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, and you're so right, because as you've said, other traditions, other cultures with their different way of looking at the world, but also their daily, weekly, cyclical patterns of remembering how they should be, and even hearing Indigenous elders like Mary Graham talk about the governance system that helped people stay in balance, that helped them recalibrate regularly. We
Exactly.
have a society with so few positive structures, and we see this, don't we,
Yeah.
in so many places.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
wonderful. I have a really lovely question from Gary. He says, if the images you shared had a conversation amongst themselves, what would that conversation sound like?
I don't know about I think they would be talking about how inspiring it all is, because that's from where the place from which I painted them was that space. Like I said, this is how I keep going. This is how I keep myself from falling into despair from what's going on, is from feeling the beautiful possibilities. And I know sometimes I might seem like a sort of, oh, head in the clouds. But actually, one of my teachers said, a good student has the head in the clouds and feet on the ground. And I hope these images would say that to each other.
I love that. I love that. No, and it's a remarkable ability to be grounded in the problems, to understand the challenges. But I think what you've given us is a reminder and a gift that the busy people still being driven by the cowboys, we of all people still need to slow down, do the practice of whatever fits with our worldview, and remind us that we are good. I'm still going to struggle with that. I think I'll be pondering that when I'm in the garden this afternoon.
Well,
It's a hard one.
that is why I gave it. I thought, give something. This is what I mean by we have to use all the resources of our deep mind to transform these images and feelings inside ourselves. And I've only been doing this for 50 years, meditating on these things. I didn't get it overnight. That's why going into this deep imagination state is so important to me. And I wish that everyone could do that or would do it, because a lot of people that I know who, when I was living in eco villages, people were making these marvelous vegetables, wonderful food, wow, but not doing the internal work. So the meetings were shit. all these wonderful people with their cowboys in the meetings, and around the meeting house, all these wonderful vegetables. It's like we need to somehow do the inner work as well as the outer, because, as I keep saying, they dance together. They dance and they help each other. So yeah.
And look, I think that is a perfect note to end on if I'm going to wrap up on time. And again, everyone, thank you so much for your patience. This was not a session inviting lots of time together, but I think nonetheless a beautiful 1 hour. It's certainly slowed me down in my very busy schedule, and it's reminded me of some wonderful things to reconnect with. So, Dido, from my point of view, I just want to thank you for this beautiful 1 hour. I'll share with you the comments. There's lots of lovely people saying thank you. So to slowly wrap us up, even though I'd love to have this conversation for another 2 hours, I'd probably be sound asleep by the end. I'd be so relaxed. I'd like to thank Dido, and really keen to have you back next year, Dido, and we'll find ways to bring you back into our AILA network in many different opportunities. That would be
Yes, that
wonderful.
would be wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for reaching out. And just a reminder, folks, although this is our last AILA webinar for the year, next year there'll be some amazing offerings. And the one thing I wanted to mention is our Introduction to Decolonisation course, which sounds very clunky. It's being held in March, and I find that the literature and the different worldviews and wisdom around decolonising the Western mind and decolonising how we think and work and feel is incredibly powerful. And I know it's our course and I want to plug it, but the more I read, the more I work with others, the more we co-prepare material to share. It's a wonderful continuation of rethinking who we are. And one of our guest speakers, Yin Paradis, who's a professor of race relations, reminds us we are not who we think we are in industrialized societies. And I might leave you on that note, because I remember feeling such relief when I heard that, this calling that we are much deeper beings. Yeah. So on that note, again, thank you, Dido. Thank you everyone for being with us. It's been a delight to spend an hour with you with my eyes closed in a room, but I did feel the connection with you, even though it's through Zoom. So again, and the huge thank you to Sarah Bashforth, as always, my AILA co-conspirator. Yeah, I'll better let you all go. But thank you again, Dido. And thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you for having me. It's been lovely. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we
all
appreciate you.
the comments have warmed my heart even more.
Oh, that's good. We'll send them to you. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
please. Yes.
Thanks, everyone. You take care. And if Ayla doesn't see you again, please have a beautiful, safe, earth-centered Christmas and New Year, or whatever you celebrate. And we will see you next year for more adventures. Thank you.